Okay, we're live.
Okay. Looks like John Dixon is still connecting, but I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1:13 p.m., January 20th, 2021. And
I have a question.
oh, we've got you, John, on audio.
Yeah, so it looks like so how this happened to me the first meeting, I think last meeting, and my question is, how does a person from the public, if they go to the county website and see, like I do, and see that the agenda is posted there and see the minutes, how would they even know how to connect to this meeting without having a separate email? And I looked for it for this meeting, and I can't find it when I'm searching my email box and I save everything. So I'm frustrated, but it just begs the question, how would a member of the public even be able to connect here?
Would you like to discuss that now, Marcus, or do you want to finish call to order and roll call and then do that under matters from staff?
Let's hold that and do that for matters of staff and follow the agenda. So is that, John, we'll definitely discuss that as it is important. I fell into the same, couldn't find the email either. Let's stick to the agenda and address that at the proper time. So let's continue with agenda item number 2, roll call.
John Dixon?
Here.
Cannot hear Travis Scott. Cannot hear Travis Scott. Travis, can you hear us?
It's probably because I'm using his link.
John is signed in as Travis again, so you have 2 Travises.
John Dixon, are you able to rename? I mean, because I'm using his link too. I renamed myself. I don't know. Oh, it looks like Travis disconnected. Looks like he's going to rejoin. Oh, and we just lost John Dixon too.
Oh boy.
We still have a quorum though, so.
True.
We can start roll call. How do we do that? Do we usually read off of a list?
Yes. John Dixon?
Okay, well, if he's first on the list, let's wait.
John Glidewell?
Present.
Cindy Wagner?
Here.
Marcus Magdaleno?
Present. Doesn't look like John Dixon's back yet.
It might take him a minute to redial.
Travis, you're muted.
The issue is, I think that everybody's trying to use my link and participant ID. So when he logged in, I couldn't hear anything and it bumped me off audio.
Okay.
Oh.
So the original email, because I didn't receive one either, the original email, when we get to matters from the staff, we should probably confirm that all our email addresses are correct.
And that they're not going to spam, because it won't say that it's coming from Angie or Jim or Adrian. It's going to say it's coming from Mendocino County Planning and Building. So you're not going to be searching a staff name.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
Mm-hmm.
And just a suggestion of what I do with all of my Zoom calls is I just instantly take the link and stick it in my calendar.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to go hunting for it in email. Just as soon as you get it, once you get it, I understand there's a problem with did I get it or not, but I just grab all the info and stick it in my calendar so it's always available.
And I think that's what we'll do is instead of sending you emails, we're going to switch to sending meeting appointments. And then we'll copy and paste the Zoom link in an appointment, and you have to accept it to post it to your calendar. And that should work with different calendar settings, because I know I can send it to my consultants and it works.
Yeah, that works with both Google Calendars and iCal. That's a great idea, Adrian.
Yeah, so we'll switch that for this meeting group. We can discuss that later. So there's not a very big group to accept, and then I'll show you on that one.
Okay.
It's not too difficult, though.
I think I got it yesterday. Mendocino County Planning and Building.
And it says something like you save this email as a panelist or something like that, it says.
Okay, well, I think we should continue on, and hopefully John Dixon will be able to join and won't be too frustrated when he eventually does.
So I'm going to do his question. I'll do his question second. chair.
Okay.
I'll start with the announcements on my side for planning and building. And so many of you know I've been tasked with a new job.
Wait, did we finish roll call? We didn't cover staff that was present. Do we usually do
We
that?
don't call roll call.
Yeah, we
for
don't call staff. We only call commissioners or board members.
Okay,
We
sounds
don't
good.
count
Can I
towards your
request-
quorum.
Can I request that county send a link, forward the link email to John? He seems to still be having trouble finding the email, and we don't want him to use Travis's link again.
No.
It's on my desktop at my computer.
You should be able to copy and paste the link.
Email came from Mendocino County Planning and Building Services.
I just emailed him that too.
Let me see if I can
It's
find
gonna be
mine.
in my sent items. Is that why I can't
Work
find
to
it?
just send it to John in Slack, since it might be hitting his junk mail and his email.
Last time it went into his junk mail, which is to remind him to check that.
But if you send it to him in Slack, it would bypass his junk mail email account.
Anybody have a Slack account they can?
I do if I have an updated link, because the link automatically is my link. That's the issue.
I see.
So like that's why it when you sign in, Marcus, using the link I send you, it says Travis Scott.
But we didn't have the same audio issue, which is interesting.
Yeah, I know, that was strange.
Okay, I've got mine here. I'm going to forward it because I'm not logged in right now. But I don't have my address books on my phone. What's John's email? Anybody know?
John at
Mr. Dixon.
John at Glendeven, GLENDEVEN.com.
There it is, coming now. Okay. So then he might just pop in with my name, but that's okay because I'm not logged in anywhere. So at least he'll have sound.
Okay, and then Adrian, you wanted to, were you moving on to agenda item number 3 or
3.
matters from staff? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would like John Dixon to hear this so we don't have to repeat it again once he joins in. So we'll wait one more moment. I need to sign into their website. Oh my God. Oh, he must have a third-party spam filter that he's got to log into to find it in his spam.
Adrian, is there any way that I can send it to John?
I just
Slack?
I found the one from building and planning in my email, and I forwarded that to him from my email. So that should go through because I'm a recognized email. I just forwarded you the email from building and planning. Okay, well, let's continue on. It's 1:22. Oh, there we go. He's tapping in under your name. Adrian, do you still have audio?
Yes, because I'm just in here with Angie and we're as in host.
Okay.
That's why I sent him my link because it'll just be. We could rename him potentially on our side, but that's fine.
Okay. Sounds
We
good.
might
All
be
right.
able
Back to the start of agenda item number 3,
John Dixon.
matters from the staff.
All right, we're renaming on this side. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
Let's see.
Matters from staff. Whoo, it tickles.
Oh, let the record show John Dixon is present in the roll call.
Yes, he's now been added and renamed on our side. So for county staff, I have a new project assignment, as some of you have may seen out there, that I'm the project manager for the vaccine rollout for the county. And also, as the bid bylaws go, a CEO can designate a person to help manage the bid. That designation is being transferred back to Steve Dunnicliff. And so soon the bid will operate out of the CEO's office once again. And planning and building will assist. We'll continue to do Zoom. And Angie will help us with minutes with her expertise. But very soon, your fearless leader will be back to Steve Dunnicliff. And I will only be here probably today. And Steve will again be taking over the meetings as your designee. So that was one quick update for you. You'll soon have a full-time representative again. And then I wanted to answer John Dixon's comment about how the public participates. And so when the public pulls up our agenda, which is posted online, it shows them the YouTube video link that they can watch and also the telecomment form. Telecomment form means they are requesting to speak. If they complete this form and they request to speak, then we email them a link to participate. This is publicly available and streaming, but we do not let the general public in unless they issue a telecomment form. Otherwise, we would lose control of this Zoom feed and you would get Zoom bombers and everything that comes through. So if they issue telecomment, they are logged into the meeting as an attendee with you. You will see them on the meeting. If they wish to watch it, this is live on YouTube right now. It's recorded. Anyone can see this meeting at any point in time in the future. So hopefully that answers your question on public participation.
You're muted, Marcus.
Thank you. And the email that the board members receive will consistently and does come from an email address entitled Building and Mendocino County Building and Planning. Yes.
Yes, it is our general email. However, we are going to change that and start sending you appointments. So you'll get an email that will require you to accept it in the future.
And then once accepted, we will receive another email, or we'll use that email to
The
link.
email will post to your calendar and it will come up on your calendar reminders. Whatever you have your reminders set for, if it's 5 or 15-minute intervals, will remind you to log into your meeting.
Okay, and board members should, if you've got really strict spam filters, put the email address from the county as a safe sender or an acceptable sender, so that way it doesn't get filtered.
Thank you.
Yep. Any more matters from the staff? Hearing none, moving on to item number 4, communications received and filed. Do we have any?
There are none.
There are none. All right, moving on to agenda item 5, matters from the public. As we have no members of the public present, I presume there are no matters from the public.
We did not receive any telecomment forms for this meeting agenda.
Okay. And moving on to agenda item 6, the consent calendar. 6A, approval of the draft December 14, 2020 minutes.
Marcus, it's consent calendar, so you can approve them all at once if there's nobody wants to pull anything.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull, I guess, well, whatever, pulling one, I'm pulling both of them because I'm confused about something in the minutes. So is that just something the chair says? We're going to pull it, or do we have to like make a action item out of it?
No, you can pull it for
Okay.
discussion.
Pulling it for discussion. I opened up the 12:14 minutes. I feel like maybe these got backwards. So Adrian, I don't believe you were present at the last meeting, but it says you called the meeting to order at 1:05.
Well, in December, the first meeting, Adrian was with us.
The
For
6th.
majority of the meeting.
No, December. I was not here in January.
Oh my gosh, we're looking at, sorry, I thought these were the minutes from the last 2 meetings we had. Sorry, I'm getting my dates wrong. I'm sorry, remind me, our last meeting was,
On the
January 6th.
January 6th.
there it is, January 6th, okay. And that's the one where we all were present. Okay, sorry, nope, I was confused, my bad. All right, we're looking for a motion to, now that I've separated them, do they have to be done individually or can I put them back in the consent?
You'll have to approve them individually now that you pulled one off of consent. Technically, you can approve your consent calendar and then make a motion to approve January separately and December.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the December 14th minutes.
So moved.
John Dixon moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
John Gladwell seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Adrian, I presume that that's an okay way to vote, or do we have to vote by roll call?
No, you're fine that way.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve the January 6th meeting minutes.
I'll move.
John Glidewell made the motion. I'll second. Mark Magdaleno seconded. Any discussion on that one? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and moving on to the agenda. All right, item number 7, the regular calendar. 7A, continued discussion and direction concerning the draft annual report for 2021-22 fiscal year. I guess we'll just pick off from where we left off, where we can continue to look over the recommendations and see if there are any we want to re-recommend or adjust, and discuss any possible new recommendations. And then also we have Adrian here who can give us updates on the previous year recommendations that we weren't updates we weren't able to get in the last meeting. So I think it's probably best if we get the updates first. That way we'll have more information as we go through the rest of the recommendations.
Adrian, do you want me to give the updates, or do you want to
Sure. I'll say I don't have any current updates from that one, and I do have to leave in a minute for another meeting. I don't know if there's any questions you have for me that I can answer right now, Travis.
No, I don't. Does any of the board?
Travis, you received updates from Adrian that you can present to us?
I can take it. If there are any questions directly for Adrian, give those to her. Otherwise, I will take you through the updates on behalf of the county.
Okay, the ones on the report that say Adrian status update, you have
Correct.
information on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Any board members have anything specific for Adrian before she departs?
See you tomorrow, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. I'm gonna leave that one in case I need it.
So why don't we all go to the draft report to, I believe, is it page 23 for the county updates? Is that right, Travis?
Yes, they are on 23. And so, as Adrian announced, Steve Dunicliffe from the CEO's office is going to step in and take over being our liaison. So I started working with him as of yesterday morning, and I've sent him a copy of the report as of the same copy that we're all viewing. And he is working with Sherry Shatmeyer, the treasurer tax collector, getting responses from her on the 2 that involve her. And then he will have a response on the 3rd question from us or for us, hopefully at the next meeting.
Okay.
I will say I also had a meeting with Sherry Shatmeyer yesterday morning, and they are about 3 weeks from launching their new computer system that includes all the stuff that we recommended. And she has taken a look at the recreated TOT and bid submission forms, and is considering the implementation of those.
Great. Hey, Travis, regarding that recommendation, when we established, when these forms were created with the data to be collected on them, were they created back when we were month to month versus quarter to quarter?
Quarter.
It was always quarter to quarter. Okay. Okay.
That would be an amazing thing. It's been a long time in discussion, right, Travis?
Yes, I'm really excited.
Be really great.
Like since 2015, I think, and I really wish that they had just. I know they didn't have the infrastructure to compile the data, but I still wish that they would have accepted the paperwork earlier, and that way we would have had 2 previous years or 1 or 2 previous years of data that we could go back and compile. But anyway, it's still good news that they're moving forward to that, as that is one of the hot topics of the lodging owners, to be able to have more data to show that, look at the results of what the marketing can do. Okay.
Quick comment. It sounds like, and I agree, this is great. This sounds like progress. And is this sufficient progress to include a note on it within the report, or is it not substantial enough? We wait to see what happens, or how we proceed there.
So we are going to actually have official responses from the county to insert into this report.
All right.
These three highlighted items.
Perfect. So,
go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. It was sort of entertaining reading the responses from last time when it was, we can either confirm or deny that we have said anything about this, and it's kind of like, okay, well, so this is great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Travis, I did not mark where we left off at the last meeting. I'm hoping that you took note of that.
I did. So we were talking about item number 5 on page 22, which was one of my responses from MCTC. I think we were still going through those.
Okay.
I also should sorry, just before we totally jump into that, I should let everybody know that I emailed the clerk of the board yesterday and have a spot for us on the May 25th Board of Supervisors meeting.
Great. And that'll be the first.
That'll be the first hearing.
And then the second hearing will be end of June.
30 days from that, yes.
Great. That's great news. It's good to know we are on the calendar.
We have secured a spot on the calendar.
And Travis, when do you expect when would you prefer that this draft report be reviewed by the MCTC board? Which meeting are you looking at?
After, basically when we're done.
So, if they have any input that they'd like us to address, we would want to meet again. So we want to make sure we have that ability. So, I forget, the MCTC meets the first Thursday?
Second Thursday of every month.
So if they looked at it in the their May meeting, that might be cutting it close to the submission to the Board of Supervisors, right?
We should push for a finish in April.
Yeah, I think that's doable.
Yeah, we're incredibly far from where we've been in past years at this point.
Yep.
We need recommendations and some things on my end, but the
financials.
The work that needs to be done in this group is the recommendations.
Great. Yeah. So we'll shoot on having that draft to the April meeting for the MCTC for them to look over and give input on. Okay, so let's dive into recommendation number 5. If you could give us a quick summary, Travis, and a summary of the status update.
Continue to assess the return on investment for the reorganized sales department. And the status update, we were going to open that sales department. We chose not to reopen that sales department because of the pandemic and group sales not being appropriate. The board will reassess when it is appropriate, and at that time take the proper action to move forward with hiring a salesperson.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from any of the board members regarding this item? Great.
This was was this the item, Travis, when you had recommended that VMC explores their in-house team to sort of satisfy some of these marketing objectives?
Well, no, not necessarily. We've always had an inside sales department, and most likely we'll always have an inside sales department. The marketing itself, that's where I was brought up in that other conversation.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Is that something we'll get to coming up here that we'll have time to discuss?
That's up to you guys as the board.
I would like to discuss it a little further. I'm still, I'd just to have a better understanding of where the structure of VMC staff is coming from, where it was going, and then now where it's going now. I'm just curious to know where we were outsourcing for, contracting out that you're now going to be looking to bring in house. So I think it is worth, a little more discussion so we all understand what that plan is.
I agree. I think we put a pin in it to look at again this time or in the upcoming meetings. But I guess we have to decide when it's appropriate to take the pin out. But I think what this board would find helpful is, hey, if we're not reviewing a proposal from Theory SF to accomplish our marketing objectives, is it appropriate for the ED to present somewhat of a proposal or even a compare and contrast of best practices that you'd like to see for us to review, whether or not we then be able to make a recommendation or how do we actually go forward the best way from here?
Well, just from the MCTC standpoint, I wrote a marketing plan for the entire year that does not include Theory SF or any marketing consultants. So that's already been put forward to the board of directors of MCTC and approved and sent to the county. So that would be the best starting place, I think, for that conversation is what's contained in that marketing plan for the year that doesn't include Theory SF and how is the staff accomplishing it, which is all contained in that marketing plan.
Great. And Marcus, is it within the scope of this board to review and recommend anything in that way, or is that more of the MCTC board's purview?
Well, I think it never hurts to have additional reinforcement if all surrounding boards are, unanimous in the direction that our DMO is going to go. Wouldn't hurt at all. So I think maybe Travis, if you're willing to send that marketing report to all of us for us to read to see, because I'm curious to see, are you creating a whole new position to cover that? Are you spreading it out through your current staff?
No, we're not creating a new position. There is the possibility of hiring somebody ultimately, but we are doing everything with the staff that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, just to see the financial difference between contracting out and doing it in-house. I'd like to see also what the DMO standard is for an organization our size, whether they contract out or they do it in-house. And so and I imagine that's all in the marketing plan for this.
Well, no, DMO standard's not in the marketing plan.
So the plan that you proposed to get support of the MCTC board to not go with Theory SF, but to bring that responsibility in-house.
Well, so let me clarify. There wasn't a choice to not go with Theory SF because we couldn't afford to go with Theory SF.
Right.
So the plan was, Travis, what are you going to do to make sure that this happens?
Okay.
That's what's contained in the marketing report. And that's a public document. It's available at MendocinoCountyTourism.org, right on the front page. So yeah, everybody has access to it. It's been sent to all partners and stakeholders when it was approved. So that's the plan for 2021.
Okay.
And I guess so, Travis, in what I mean, will it be helpful for this board to endorse that plan in any way, or is it sort of moot because it's already in place? Or
Well, I think that, looking over the plan, looking at how we're going to accomplish things, and possibly making recommendations for the next fiscal year marketing plan or the DMO as a whole would be the way this group could go.
Okay.
At the time that we made the changes, there wasn't an opportunity to come back to this group for last year, for the fiscal year, to kind of wind it all together. So now we're in the middle of a plan, and we will be working on the next one.
Okay. So I'd advise then the members of the board to review that marketing plan, and in the next meeting, potentially come back with any potential suggested recommendations if you deem that we need some.
And there is an update to that marketing plan, which I presented to my board of directors at the annual meeting last week. And I'd be happy to provide that to this group.
Yes, please. Thank you. The more information we have, the better we can make recommendations. All righty. Moving on to recommendation number 6. Travis, when you are ready, no rush, summarize and we'll discuss.
MCTC to form an ad hoc committee to investigate and explore any and all possible ways to enhance revenue for tourism promotion. The bid advisory board also recommends that the ad hoc be comprised of a mix of lodging stakeholders, MCTC board members, county staff, county elected officials, and MCTC staff. The update is MCTC's Organizational Development Committee engaged in discussion and the initial steps in forming an ad hoc committee to address this initiative in January 2020. In March of 2020, the second meeting was scheduled to further discussion and action. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the committee canceled that meeting and requests that this recommendation move to a year following the pandemic.
So we can either re-recommend this with the stipulation that it be addressed when the effects of the pandemic have mostly subsided, or we can just keep it in our in the back of our brains for maybe the next year's bid report to include. Does any board members have any opinion on either of those options? All right, hearing none. I'll go ahead and just say I don't want to lose sight of this, so I'd say we re-recommend it, with the stipulation that it be addressed possibly after the COVID pandemic has subsided. And that could be at the end of this next fiscal year. So fingers crossed that things might be back to normal by the end of then, and sort of back to normal. And it could be
I agree with
addressed.
that. I was having trouble unmuting, but I agree with that. That's what I was gonna. Of the choices, I think that's the best way to go, Marcus. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So Travis, we'll put that in the.
Yep, I'm doing it as we speak.
Great. And then when you're ready, let's move on to recommendation number 7.
Sure, give me just 1 second to flop this in here.
Before you move on, and when you're ready, Travis, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
It's sort of stepping back. It's about promoting groups. I think it was the previous recommendation. Talking about sales and whatnot. So the reason that we're not doing that now, even for future, for COVID, is just because we don't know what COVID is going to bring to us, right? Because a lot of group things are long lead times. I was thinking of that as we were having the discussion. And I don't know if there's any indication from any other shelter-in-place orders or what the state's doing. I mean, I know everything changes every day. But is there any desire, since this does have such a long shelf life, what we're doing here into next year, next annual year, or what do you call it? Calendar year rather. Is there anything that we could put in there about groups for next year? Because again, there are such long lead times, and I didn't want to lose sight of that.
Right. I will say that we're not seeing DMOs of our size starting to engage in group promotion. We also are attending Visit California sales meeting this next week, Monday and Tuesday. And at that meeting, they are hosting 0 group sales meetings. So it's all based on individual and family travel.
Got it. So even though we're talking about this report goes through whatever it is, end of June 2022, right?
Right.
Still, we're not addressing it because we just don't know. And I think I hear what you're saying. The industry is not even looking at it, not even for this year or next year. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, when you're ready with number 7, Travis.
Yep. 1 second. The Board of Directors, the MCTC Board of Directors engage a discussion and potential action item, adjusting the current MCTC board meeting schedule not to conflict with any Board of Supervisors meeting. And the status update is that that's done. We've changed it to the second Thursday.
Great. Travis, did I recommend in the last meeting that right after status update, it says we have a punch word, either completed or in process or no action?
We talked about it, but I didn't make any notes anywhere that we decided what we were going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we were going to note that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to say completed or done.
Adopted. I guess it would be adopted. Well, I guess it depends on the recommendation. But I would like that. I really scan through a lot of stuff first and look for the bullet words and the points, and it'd be easy just to read that and then see status update completed or adopted or accomplished, and then if I chose to read the detail of how it was accomplished, I could. If not, I could just move on. And I think that's a nice, efficient way to structure these recommendations. Does any other board member feel that same way?
Yeah, that's a good note, Marcus. I totally agree.
Me too.
So maybe the punch words accomplished or in process or no action would be the 3 potential ones to use.
Accomplished or complete? Or does complete?
Depending on what's grammatically correct.
I mean, they're all action verb, things. So I think either one works.
Mm-hmm.
What were the other 2 you said? Accomplished, complete. No, sorry. Accomplished, in process.
No action.
No action.
Maybe no action could, if anyone has another suggestion. But I do like accomplished. It shows, versus completed. Shows that we set a goal or a recommendation and it was accomplished.
Sounds good.
That's fine. Yeah, accomplished sounds good. I'm thinking now of the last one, the no action. I think when there is no action and we want to move it forward to the next year, we've sort of struggled with those. Because there have been some that have bridged multiple years and they move forward. So I suppose
we still need to give a status
process
update from the previous year's recommendations, even if we move it forward to the current year, to the future year.
Right.
So we would still need to say something along the lines of no action.
Right. And I guess, right. So the difference is that some work has begun. It's not complete. Meaning in process, and then the other is truly nothing's been done. It's not started, and it still needs to remain if we choose to keep it there. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with those for now, and we don't need to take too much time on this, but we can go with those 3 options for now, if that's okay, Travis, with you to put those in after the status update, and then if someone has a better suggestion for any of the words in the future meetings, we can discuss it. Yeah, okay. On to recommendations actionable by the county. Well, I guess we're waiting to hear back on those, right?
Correct.
Okay, so does this board have any recommendations actionable by the county of, recommendations actionable by the MCTC board, Mendocino County Tourism Commission?
Wait, don't you mean the bid advisory board, or do you mean MCTC?
No, I mean, does this board have any recommendations for this upcoming fiscal year for the Mendocino County Tourism Commission?
Gotcha.
Or if Travis has any he would like to propose for us to potentially recommend. We'd like to hear that as well.
I have one when we're ready.
We're ready, John. Go for it.
Okay, this question is for Travis first, and please excuse my ignorance if it already exists. Has MCTC or VMC, as a DMO, identified a comp set from which they review performance or compare performance against?
Yes. And that's been quite the topic of conversation for us over the past couple of years. And let me pull up exactly what we're doing. Give me just one moment.
Oh, yeah, take your time.
And while he's looking that up, I do want to reiterate the importance of, it's great if we all can study and read all the material associated with these boards and the marketing, but I want to make sure we have a board that feels comfortable. We all have our own businesses and are very busy, so don't be hesitant to say, I haven't read this, please let's go through it more thoroughly, or I'm not familiar with this. There's, I think every question, I want everybody to feel comfortable asking any question in this environment. So I just wanted to keep that in mind.
So I'm going to read.
Thanks, Marcus.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I responded to Marcus. Thank you. That's a confidence booster. Much appreciated.
So I'm going to read an excerpt from our annual report, which was just approved at the board meeting last week, where it goes over that. In the March 2020 meeting of the MCTC Board of Directors, direction was given to staff that the competing destinations for the purposes of reporting would be Humboldt, Yolo, Shasta, and Mariposa counties. And then further on, it goes on to say, VMC staff took a second look at our competing destinations and how they rank in terms of visitor-related spending, tax revenue, and the number of travel sector jobs. Realizing that Napa and Sonoma counties are competitors for tourist draw, i.e. encouraging visitation from our target markets in the Bay Area and Central Valley, those counties' travel-related spending, revenue, and travel sector employment far surpass that of Sonoma County, or of Mendocino County. So the 4 counties that I mentioned, Humboldt, Mariposa, Shasta, and Yolo, we compare ourselves to data-wise. The other 2 counties, Napa and Sonoma, we compare ourselves to marketing-wise, just on our campaigns only.
Great. Thanks for answering that. And I guess the follow-up is it appropriate for this board to analyze those competitors in a way that we provide recommendations for changing comp set components or even evaluation criteria, or is this established by MCTC, and do we even need to get into it? I don't know, I'm just curious. Marcus is on mute, but I want to hear what he has to say.
Sorry, I think the more information that this board has and can dive into to specific recommendations, I don't see anything wrong with that. It is a question of how in depth our board members are, how much knowledge and how much info they have regarding these matters. I guess that's the question, and how much time we have to commit to exploring these, and or whether we trust the MCTC board to follow lead. This report creates a structure for them to work within, and then it also, of course, has the recommendations which they can consider or they cannot consider. So I guess it really all just depends on how much we want to dive in and how much detail we want to give.
And Travis, has the Coraggio group in the strategic plan made any mention or suggestion of really trying to focus on building the comp set or having it be a part of our strategic plan for the county?
No.
Okay. Any anticipation of them bringing that up in this new 3 to 5 year plan?
I do not know that.
Okay. Well, I guess where I'm getting at is maybe it's a layup for this board to move to recommend including comp set data in future reports, or recommend the MCTC to adopt a comp set model to put into their regular evaluation processes. And I guess if it's already in place and it's the right timing for this board to recommend it, it could just be sort of a little bit more support from our side since the momentum is going that way.
Yeah, agreed. We can use our report recommendations to reinforce a direction they're already going. If we all feel that they're going in a direction and we see another direction we'd like them to go in, we also can put those recommendations in as well. So
okay, yeah, I guess I'm sorry. The only other thought I had as I'm hearing you say it is I want us to be careful not to build into the recommendation any stipulations about comparative performance and whether or not that translate into performance successes for our county. I think it's just important for us to review data from our identified comp set rather than say, okay, we didn't capture enough market share, so we're not doing the right things. I think it's far too premature for us to make those conclusions, and I would hate for our interest in gathering data to turn into a metric for the public to use to bash on the entity, so to speak.
Okay.
Now, Travis, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, not in particular, other than, it is, the organization already does have a set of metrics that we report to based on our strategic plan. And these counties that have been identified are the closest counties based on the Dean Runyon report. I guess maybe I'm not understanding exactly what you guys are trying to get at. But we report quarterly and annually too, based on our comparison to these other counties.
Yeah, no, I think that's understandable. And I guess where I'm coming from is maybe the second part of what you read about Napa and Sonoma is, I would like to see our county become more competitive for that market share from the Bay Area and the Central Valley. And I think, if our annual plan addresses goals on how to gain more of that market share from those counties, those neighboring counties, I think that's totally in line with our goals, but it's not something we're currently set up to compare. And I just wonder if, maybe the baby steps can be made for us to get in there so we can start to see, hey, we achieved this many visitors relative to Napa and Sonoma this year, and we really want to grow that. We really want to improve that market share because we feel strongly that Mendocino County can compete with Napa and Sonoma because of X, Y, and Z. And so that's just something that I'm interested in and something I believe in. And I think that's going to become even more true. Possibly we're at an interesting point where there's an opportunity for more rural travel following the pandemic. And if we start sort of looking at it now, it may be a slam dunk for the DMO moving forward to say, hey, we've seen success because we're promoting rural destination travel, drive travel. And I'd hate for us to get too far into it without having that data to compare it to. So, I don't really know if there's a vehicle to even implement something like that easily, but I wanted us to explore that.
So, John, then, if it's in the beginning stages and it needs to be explored, then perhaps if you're willing, create or draft up a recommendation along those lines, and if you could. I guess send it to Scott to include in the next draft. Then we all can look over it and review it and discuss it further. And if we need to fine tune it a little more to consider, take considerations of all the board members' input and go from there. Does that sound like a good way to go with that?
And you're asking me, I'll reiterate, to just draft language for the recommendation to be reviewed again the next meeting.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Out of curiosity from John and Cindy, is this a direction they feel is positive? Is it of interest to you? Do you feel like it's relevant?
I think so, John. I've given just a little bit of thought, but I think it's worth working on.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd like to see how you word the recommendation, so it's worth doing. I think from memory and in history, I think, Travis, what we tried to measure against is, what was the name of the organization, the DMO organization, the national organization, and when we're looking at sort of metrics, what was that called?
DMAI, Destination Marketing.
Yeah. Right, and so the numbers that we've had and sort of the metrics that we use were based on this sort of national numbers. And I think, if I'm not wrong, John, what you're talking about is looking at more sort of localized numbers. Is that right? To compare against and to sort of see how we're doing and measure against. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, build what we feel our comp set should be, establish that, and start tracking our growth relative to that, that regional comp set, so that we can see that we are making progress, and we're taking some of that market share from those counties.
Got it. Okay. And so that would be something that we haven't done in the past, and what you're sort of asking us if we think there's value in that. I think it's definitely worth discussing more. I wonder, Travis, maybe you want to think about it, or if that is helpful to the organization in your opinion, or if that's a sort of what the board would like to do. It would be coming from us, and I get it in the org chart that if we're driving that and it's something we as a body here want to see happen, that we can do that. But I wonder, sort of just before we go too far down in a recommendation, if that's something that just we could discuss, or that Travis might have an opinion about just off the top too. For me, it seems reasonable and good to do, and it hasn't been done in the past, so that's a good reason to do it. Maybe we're in that place now where we can. We've always said that measurable outcomes are important, and I know Travis is really committed, and the organization is very committed to the metrics. And like, these are our goals, and this is where we are. We work towards our goals. So that is a huge change, a great change in the last, whatever it's been, 4 or 5 years or more, working towards those metrics. And maybe this is just another one of them, and it might be very helpful. So yeah, I'm very open to it. And I know that the organization, again, using goals, or objectives and trying to meet them is where where we already are, it's probably a really nice next step to really regionalize it. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm up for any kind of data analyzation that there is. We go as deep as we can go with the information that we can get our hands on through DMAI, through the Gene Runyon report, which is commissioned by Visit California each year, and through VisaView, which is a contract that we hold through Visit California. And VisaView, Visa provides us with about 44% of the credit card market share. So we use that to base our, to look at our performance as well. So I would like to maybe understand more, and John, when you write it out, what you're exactly looking for and wanting, that I can understand and say, oh, that data is available and here's how we could, crunch it. Or that's, I don't know where I would even get my hands on that, and let's look for maybe a source for that, and see if it's out there. That's where I stand with this recommendation so far.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. I'll write something up. I'll send it over to you, Travis. And is that the right method? And then you can include it in a draft where we can discuss for a future meeting?
Yeah, and it might be that, John, that it's data that we're already collecting and reporting in our reports on, and I can just pull that and share it with you guys. That may be the case as well.
Yeah, and also that these recommendations that come from us, their direction, their suggestions. That's not binding. They're not parameters. The rest of the report is, what we include in the rest of the report is how the VMC, our DMO is to operate within those parameters set. But like I said, the recommendations are direction. And, if this board feels that we want to suggest a direction, we have that is the purpose of this report. We have the power to do so. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that recommendation, John, and that'll be unless we have any other suggestions on recommendations, that will be one recommendation we have for the mctc.
Great.
Do we have any other suggested recommendations actionable by mctc from any of the board members at this time?
I have one that's sort of old and it might be sort of done, and I'm just not sure. But I know, Travis, that in the past, I think you talked about, and I think we're working on, and maybe it's complete, the idea of an annual calendar, because so much of what is done by the organization is cyclical, and sort of knowing, just like these meetings, when we first started meeting here, that we have to have something done by a certain date so that we meet and get a meeting and then all that stuff. So there's so many things that are cyclical like that. Mm-hmm. Is that something that's already been completed? I think it might have been a recommendation here once upon a time.
It is. We have done that. I will say, I have not updated it this year, just purely lack of time. But I did create one for last year, and it was on the website and posted. And I'd be happy to put that at the top of my priority list again, if that's a request. It's certainly not, something I can't do. It's just was one of the things I kind of pushed to the bottom of the pile this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's one of those things that I think it was probably born when there was multiple boards and so many different things and so many different deadlines that we kept sort of being surprised by, oh gosh, we're supposed to do this because the bylaws say that we're supposed to do this at this time. And I remember so often we just thought, oh, let's have a master calendar. So it's probably less of that now because the board structure and all that simplified, but still those cyclical things that come. I mean, there it is.
I do have this that isn't written every year, but I did create this that is, here's where we do everything each,
boilerplate.
annually.
Right.
Is that
tool. Really, it's a management tool. It's nothing really even, I mean, maybe for the board too, I suppose, so they know what, whether it's nominations for the board, and then, when elections have to happen, all that kind of stuff, whether it's, again, operational, board related, bid, board related, this kind of thing, county or whatnot. The way it comes up on my screen, I can't see the details. It's pixelated, but yeah, great. I mean, that's the only thing that came to mind. That's it.
Yeah, we did that my first year, John.
Okay.
Travis, does that live on the website, the MCTC website?
It does.
I'm having trouble finding it under docs.
It's under board.
Board. Yep, there it is.
Okay.
Organizational chart. Great. Any other recommendations actionable by the Mendocino County Tourism Commission? All right, hearing none. Then this isn't. If more pop up between now and the next meeting, you always can suggest one in the next meeting. So let's move on to any recommendations from this board that are actionable by the County of Mendocino for the upcoming fiscal year. Travis, when they do start collecting data, it's just occupancy percentage and ADA that's on the sheet, on the TOT and bid sheets?
Yeah, it's ADR and ADL.
And then is there a foreseen process of how they will collect, compile, and provide that information to you?
Not at this point.
So maybe this board can consider a recommendation on how often and when that happens. What would be your?
Well, so the county already reports to me quarterly. We report back and forth based on recommendation from this board. So that is already in place. What we're waiting for is the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office to have the system actually in place, to know what data is going to be able to be housed in the system totally. And then we are going to work together to reach out to property owners, partners and stakeholders, I should say, to get the data that we need. Number one, to get the system set up. And then number two, what we'll need on an ongoing basis, quarterly with the returns.
So perhaps a recommendation that this data be included in the quarterly updates and meetings that you have with the county. And then also, I mean, do you have, ideally, how would you want this data structured? How detailed would you want it? I mean, how?
Well, we need to know what the system's capable of doing before I can say what data I want.
I see. Whether the data will be collected and the establishment that the data is from is even recorded, or whether it's all compiled into one big mosh pit of numbers, no specific hotel names. I mean, that's all still remains to be seen, huh?
Correct. They're really still, they're not there yet for us to even know what is available to us.
Okay. Do we perhaps recommend
when that goes live in February? We may know different once I have a meeting with Sherry and we can discuss, and she knows she can put her eyes on the computer screen and tell me what is available there. So that might be forthcoming after that meeting in February, but I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay.
I have a question.
John Gladwell?
So before the report is finished, and we may have, like you said, more information on how this system works, and maybe it's an opportunity for us to recommend how to use the system to get the results we want, to get the data that we want from lodging operators, or is that not really our place to make those recommendations? Or do we wait till the following fiscal year to make more recommendations? Or I guess, I mean, if it's going to be done in February and our report's going to be done in April or May, maybe there's that few month gap where we have enough time to review how the system works and then make those recommendations.
Yeah, until we know what the capabilities of the system are, I think we should hold off on making any specific recommendations. I mean, we could create an ideal scenario of like, we recommend that you put in place the structure to be able to provide this and this and this to the VMC. But whether they'll be able to do that based on, you know, the system's capabilities is the question. But I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt for us to recommend we'd like you to provide data specific to each hotel, their, you know, the occupancy percentage, the ADR, and not put it all in one big pile of here's the county, or separate it out into the different sections of the county. You know, so we could work on that if we wanted to. Travis, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think we should cheer the fact that it's being implemented and it's going to be implemented after.
Right, yeah.
Let them get their feet wet in the system and work with me a little bit, and let's not just come out of the gate recommending what they should do when, you know, let's tiptoe across that one a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That makes sense.
Sounds really wise, Travis.
Thank you.
Good way to go. Okay. Any other recommendations, suggested recommendations actionable by the county, Mendocino?
I don't have any at this time. Maybe it sounds like none of us do really, but I think if I think of some, should we bring them to the next meeting or email them? What's the correct way to do this? Because I feel like with a little bit more thought, there might be some. It feels like we should have something. In the years past, you know, there's been some good ones, and I want, I guess, a little bit more time. Probably also in that same breath, I'd say that let's call the next meeting the last chance. So let's sort of get it done. Does that sound fair?
I mean, until we finalize the draft, and I think I don't see the harm in keeping it open to any suggestions that might pop up. You know, we've got how many more meetings until April? The April meeting, when we'd like to maybe finalize the draft. 2 every month, right?
Yeah.
4.
So we've got 4 more meetings scheduled. We certainly, I don't think we need to draw the line just yet of next meeting is the last to suggest recommendations. I'd like to keep that open-ended if something new pops up, new information comes available, and we decide we want to create a recommendation surrounding it or based on it. That's always leaves that open. So yeah, I think we should continue to ponder potential recommendations for both MCTC and the county and bring them. I'm okay with if everyone else is, if you emailing it to Travis for him to include in the draft report, and we can just review it. And if you can get that to him in a timely manner before he sends out the draft for the meeting, then we can do that. But at the same time, if you don't, then you can verbally bring it up in the meeting as well. So, but it is always easier to have something to look at or read or consider. So we've had time to think about it before the meeting. So yeah, if you've got a recommendation, email it over to Travis, and he can include it in the draft. So I'm presuming that there are no other recommendations suggested recommendations actionable by the county from this board. I believe we can move on. Looking at the wrong thing here.
Sorry, quickly before we move on.
Yeah.
Angie, can you tell me when I need to have the next draft to you, please?
To post online?
Yep.
That would be, our meeting's the 10th, the 7th, 8th, 9th. So, by the 28th.
28th of
January. for
2
the
weeks
next
of-
meeting.
In 8 days.
Yeah, I'm actually turning your guys' meeting around the very next day. So tomorrow is when I'll get to today's minutes, post the agenda for next meeting. I'll do all that. We need the 10 days. And since it falls on a Sunday, it goes to that Friday before, and then I'd like a day to have it on my to-do list, so that's why I said the 28th.
Wait, so I'm sorry. So our next meeting is the 3rd
The
of
10th.
February?
I'm
10th.
sorry, didn't you guys go with 2nd and 4th? Wednesday?
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, so the 10th.
Well, this is the 3rd. I think we are I don't know.
This is, well,
For the 10th,
so Angie, you need it submitted
by next Thursday.
7, 8, 9, 10 days prior to the meeting?
If you guys want to post it with the agenda and it has to be under the Brown Act, then yes, it needs to be posted 10 days prior to the meeting.
Wow. Travis, I presume you have very few edits to do from what we've done today. You just have the financials to put in. And what else do you have to put in?
Yeah, I mean, I've got financials, and we're working on graphs and charts right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can have all those in by next week, but that doesn't give you guys any time to work on work on recommendations to.
Well, if we can get them to you by the 28th,
Yep.
or let's say the 27th. So if this board will have a week then, 7 days to submit potential recommendations. But like I said too, if they don't get them to you to include in the draft report, they can be brought up verbally in the meeting.
Yep.
So okay, that's not that's doable for you, Travis. It's not, the 29th isn't pushing it.
No, that's fine. No, that's
Okay.
fine. I just couldn't this last time.
Sounds good. All right. So so the next meeting we'll be looking at a updated draft report. And if any board members have any recommendations, please submit them to Travis. And all right, moving on to item number 8, matters from the advisory board. The only matter I can think of is we still have a vacant seat. So continue to network and look for any potential candidates. And that's an inland seat, right?
Yes,
An inland lodging seat.
correct.
So, so yeah. And, I guess one thing I haven't developed, but it just popped into my head is there is starting now to be, this board right now is lodging owners. And we work to continue to keep the bid, but we're lodging owners because we work in the interest of lodging. And, but also, of course, the promotion of all businesses in the county. But I just want the board to consider a potential possible recommendation or direction in which we can establish or support perhaps an existing organization or communication thread to the lodging owners to make sure that they stay informed and they have a place where they can communicate and voice their opinions and get updates and data. And I know that the reestablishment of potentially of the MCLA is a possibility. And if this board has any suggestions on how we can support that or give direction for that to happen, just wanted the board members to think about that. So, yeah. Any other matters from the advisory board?
I don't think so. Thank you, Marcus.
Okay, great. So,
I don't have anything.
okay, thank you,
Real
Cindy.
quick.
Angie, go ahead.
Earlier in today's meeting, you guys mentioned discussing the marketing plan on the next. Would you like that on the next agenda? Or should I just leave it, continued discussion on updating the draft report and leave it at that?
Continue discussion on updating the draft report.
Okay.
Yeah, if it can exist within that, that leaves it more open-ended and better. Okay, hearing no other matters from the advisory board, move to adjourn.
Wait, one last thing about the way Adrian was saying, we're going to send you an appointment. So you'll get an email and you have to accept or reject it. You'll hit accept and it will automatically put the Zoom into your calendar. So the day of the meeting, you go to your calendar, you click on the meeting, and the Zoom information should be there.
Even if we don't use Google Calendar?
It'll populate to
Sorry,
your.
I do use Google, so I'm not positive.
Do you,
You can use it.
do you use iCal? Do you happen to use iCal?
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, because it'll go to
iCal
both.
or
It'll go to both
Outlook will work
iCal and
too.
Google.
Yeah, Outlook as well. Do you use
But-
Outlook, Marcus?
Yes, yeah, okay. All right,
It'll work.
give it a shot. I mean, in addition to it populating to your calendar, will you still be able to link from the email or no?
Yeah,
Into
you
the-
would still be able to, yes.
The link to the meeting from the email?
Wait, no, the email goes away. As soon as you hit accept, it
Okay.
kind of goes into this, I don't know where land, and it pops into your calendar at that point, and then you would go to the calendar and select it. That's how the Google one works, but yeah, sorry, I don't know about other emails.
Okay, we'll give it a try.
I will make sure I have the Zoom link on this laptop. It was on my, my desktop computer, so that when we're hustling for beginning of the meeting, I can shoot that off if I need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be much better, Marcus. I know sounds like you have not used it before, but it'll be much better. You'll be able to reference the actual thing with the thing you want, and it's going to be great.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
very technical, John. The thing with the thing.
We should make a recommendation that MCTC use Google Calendar for their meeting posts. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Wait, I always forget. Does that have to be voted on motion?
Second
or
it.
I just
No.
say it?
No.
I
Just a motion, and no second is necessary, I believe.
Okay, so we are adjourned then.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks all.